Hello, hello. Welcome to the third episode of LinkedIn Marketing Mastery. I am your host, Fran. I never say this, but I thought today would be funny because I am, but I'm not your host. So Dana will be hosting this one, and I will be the guest. So good morning, Dana, or actually afternoon already. How are you doing?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Fran, and good afternoon, everyone. Really glad to have you here, and apologies for the delay. But as always, LinkedIn just decides to screw with us. So apologies for that. Today's going to be very exciting because for once, Fran is going to get the guest seat and tell you all his secrets about inbound systems. This is going to be very exciting. But before we jump right into it, I can tell you a few words about Fran, but I would definitely like him to also say a few words and introduce himself because I don't think you actually ever properly did that. You didn't,
Actually,
right?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
No,
That's
you never
true.
did. Okay,
Yeah,
so from my side, I just want to say Fran is the biggest marketing nerd that I've ever met. Like he picks on one topic, and if it sparks his interest and attention, he's just going to go to the bottom of it. And he's relentless in gathering information and digesting it, and then telling you everything he knows about it. So he's definitely the best person to be talking about inbound systems, which is something quite complex anyway. But Fran, just tell us a few words. Like, how did you start doing that?
yeah, marketing nerd is definitely how I define myself. I mean, I don't know. I was in corporate and I decided that I wanted my own business, and I tried. I tried a few things, well, more than a few. I tried e-commerce, drop shipping, print on demand, Amazon FBA. I did a lot of stuff. But the thing is, the more I tried to make my own business work online, and this was part time. I was still working in corporate, and the more I tried to make this work, the more I found out what I didn't know, and what I didn't know was the marketing that I needed to actually sell those things, whatever I was selling, and the more of these businesses I failed, because I basically failed them all. I just messed them all up. And one of the reasons I messed them all up was because I just I started digging into the rabbit hole of whatever marketing I thought I needed to learn at that point, and I got lost in it until I finally realized, all right, this is what I should be doing, marketing for other people, not just for me. I've always been passionate about human psychology since I was a kid, and then I realized that this was the logical path to follow, and I decided to offer marketing services to others. That's how it all started. But to this day, I'm still an absolute nerd when it comes to marketing. Anything, and you know this. I mean, if you write me something related to LinkedIn or marketing a product or whatever, I start nerding out on it, and it's just
I
natural
can
to me.
attest to that. I can personally attest to that. Anytime I would ask you a simple question, you would probably reply to me with like 15-minute voice note, three voice notes, each 5 minutes long. So yeah, definitely. Well, I'm really happy that everyone today is going to get to take advantage of your knowledge. So inbound systems, I'd like to preface that with at least my preconception that I had about inbound leads, at least before I met you and before we started talking. And I feel like I was a little bit tricked, to be honest, because my exposure to marketing started when I joined LinkedIn actively. So the copywriters kind of got me, they convinced me that all I needed to do was just post one hyper specific, hyper targeted piece of content. And, if it was the right thing for the market and what my ideal client wanted to hear, basically leads would just start flooding my inbox. And by the way, this kind of happened for a while, but ever since organic reach dropped on LinkedIn massively, it's not really been the case very often that I would have that. So if you go from this conviction, what would you say are the false preconceptions that people have about inbound leads, and what does this have to do with inbound systems?
That's a great question. Actually, the more I publish about inbound systems, the more I realize that people misinterpret what I'm saying, and they just think I'm talking about publishing content. That's one of the things I noticed when I came to LinkedIn, and that's what prompted what I'm doing now. So I was, still am, a marketing strategist, but I saw that was a need on LinkedIn. It's like people were just publishing content and they thought this was marketing. It is. It's content marketing, but there's a lot behind it. There's a lot that needs to be done behind it. And a lot of, well, whoever is actually booking clients on LinkedIn, they know that for them to book the clients, they need to publish the content. They need to probably reach out to people, start conversations, and actually build a human relationship. I was like, there is a relation, everything in marketing is a human relationship. Like it's a relationship between the one who's trying to sell and the one who's buying. So what most people do is they skip steps. And humans, it comes into the awkwardness space, right? When we skip steps, it's like there's a logical progression for a human relationship to be built. So let's imagine the typical meeting someone at a bar. I know this doesn't happen often now, but in our time it still did, right? So you're at the bar and you meet someone. The first thing you do is like you see that person and they see you. So there's an eye-to-eye engagement, right? Then if I have cited this person, I saw it, I found the person, her, let's put it in my case, let's put the man-woman relationship, right, to make it make sense for me. So I see this woman, I find her interesting. She engages back with me, so she looks back at me, and I decide to approach her and start a conversation. All of this is a progression, right? If when I approach her, the first thing I'm gonna try a logical conversation. Oh, hi, I saw you from over there, and I'm horrible at this. It's not a good example, and this is actually the story behind me being inbound. I'm a shy person. I don't approach people directly, and that's exactly what I do in real life is what I translate online, and that's exactly how I do everything online as well. So that's why I put out content, and then I have these systems that make people that attract people to me by putting out what they want to see, right? Or what they want next, the next step in this relationship. So it's the same thing, right? But if you skip some of these steps, like what's going to happen is awkwardness, right? If I approach this girl at
Yeah.
the bar and I say, "Hey, you want to come home with me?" I'm gonna get slapped because I'm skipping steps in the relationship building part of it. So everything is a relationship, and in marketing it's the same thing. So what I saw here is people are creating content and they think inbound marketing is someone actually DMing them and telling them, "Hey, I want to work with you." It doesn't work like that. It might have worked in the beginning once or twice because the market space was still being built, because there were very little offer and a lot of demand probably. But this is naturally going away, and we've seen this from I only joined LinkedIn actively in 2023, so but I've seen this progression. Like I know there were people probably still booking a few calls like this, but now there's very little of it because there's a lot of competition. So you need to give people a reason to choose you over others. So what I do is I place those breadcrumbs for people to go and follow them according to what they want, not what I want.
Yeah. It's a really good analogy, going to a bar, seeing someone and just, inviting them straight home, because it feels like just dropping into someone's inbox. And also this kind of goes into the outreach direction, but going to someone's inbox straight without them knowing you and saying, "Hey, would you like to work with me?" It's kind of the same thing because they don't know you. To them, you're just a
Absolutely.
perpetrator right now. You're just an invader. There is no trust. They have no idea whether you have something of value to offer. And you actually may have something of value to offer. But
Yeah.
this way of building that trust and familiarity is much more forced than actually doing it through an inbound system.
I love
So
that word
let's
that you
get
just used. Sorry to interrupt you, but
which
I
one?
just want to highlight it. You're the perpetrator. Perpetrator. Yeah, that's what you're doing. Actually, you're invading. So you're a perpetrator. In the meanwhile, just saying hello to Zain, who said hi in the comment section. So, hi, how are you doing? Sorry, David.
Um, no, no, it's okay. It's okay. No, I just want to also, make a point of this. Like, I'm not against outreach. I do outreach as well. I just feel like there's so many ways where you can do outreach wrong. And like, we're not going to get into this. I think you guys have also covered this in the series of the events quite a bit. We haven't really covered inbound so much, at least not on video. So let's start at the very beginning, Fran. Like, what exactly is an inbound system?
Yeah, so an inbound system is just it's dropping the breadcrumbs based on what your leads. It all starts with knowing them, right? So the having a dream client avatar, knowing who you want to target, who you wanna help. Like it all starts with the basics. Like it's not you, it's them. So who do you want to serve? That's what you're doing. You're serving people, and how are you going to serve them? So then there's something that Alex Hormozy speaks about. This is the relationship between giving and asking. When you start a relationship with an ask, you're entering a debt. That's what you're doing. If you start with a give, then you're starting with goodwill on your side, right? So that's how it all starts, right? So you're putting out content and you're guiding a person to get something that you're giving them, and that's what we usually call a lead magnet. So now I'm putting out content, my content is helping you somehow, but I can help you further. So go and download this or access this tool or whatever. It's there. I made it for you for free. You can use it. Feel free to use it. If you want to subscribe to my email list, it depends on how this is all set up, obviously, and each business has it differently, and for each it makes sense in a different way. For example, the both of us, we both have tools as lead magnets. In your case, you ask them to subscribe to the email list straight away. I still give them one more step, so it works differently. But again, it's always about the giving before asking, and then giving, and then following with the breadcrumbs. All right. Always understanding that the relationship is being built, and how do you build the relationship? By actually helping them. How do you help them? By thinking, all right, where is this person right now? I just gave them this, right? So let's say, for example, my scoring tool on LinkedIn. I just gave them a score about how much they will attract, if they will attract or not clients on LinkedIn, right? Now they have a score. They probably want a tool that will help them improve that score. So that's what I give next. And then in my emails, the first thing I do is like, all right, do you want further help with this? Maybe we could book a call and I can give you some tips. So you see, so it's a progression. That's how I always focus on it. Like, how can I help you further? If you can continuously answer this question, then you get people coming to you and actually answering it for you, right? How can I help them further? And they will tell you, and that's what you're going to place in front of them. So they will come to you because that you're giving them what they want, and what will give them and what will help them to take the next step in their journey, because everybody is in a journey of transformation from where they are right now to where they want to be.
Yeah, this makes so much sense. Can you hear me? Because I think I just had a glitch on my side.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, I have so many questions now that we started defining it step by step.
We have
Okay,
some questions in
what's
the
a
comment
real
section as well. I don't know how you want to handle those, but I'll leave it up to you. And we had some. I think it was Alex who left a question as well previously, like before. When we published about.
I have a
need
list
to
of
let
that.
go of the
I mean,
host part.
I'm going to be very selfish, and I'm going to ask you my questions first, and then I'm going to ask
Good,
everything
good.
else. Okay. Okay. So, what's like the most basic, simple system that anyone can build? Because
All right.
apparently mine and yours, mine and yours, they're very complex. Like, we spend a lot of time
Yeah.
building at least the lead magnet part. So what's a very simple and standard thing that's pretty much like, the minimum viable thing that you can have, but it still works?
All right. Absolutely. And one of the things that I see people getting scared the most is with the lead magnet idea, right? So first, the lead magnet can be also as simple as just one of your carousels that actually was very helpful, had a lot of success on LinkedIn. You just turn it into, I've done that in the past, you've seen that. Turn it into a lead magnet, you just put it on a page, you say, all right, do you want this? Just go here and download it. But let's even go more basic than that. Like, an inbound system can be as simple as you not even having a lead magnet and just guiding people through from your content to the call. But I wouldn't even put a link to the call on LinkedIn. I would at least build a landing page that leads to the call, and a landing page can be the lead magnet on its own. So what you do is, and this is the most basic system ever. I don't advise it because then you don't have the email list or the email addresses to keep contacting them, and that's how you keep progressing the relationship. But it can be as basic as just having a landing page in place that answers a simple question or solves a simple problem, like a post, for example, like an article that you just put in place, and that's the landing page. And on LinkedIn, what you say is you want the answer to this, then go here. They click, they go there, and the logical progression is you putting a button at the end. Do you want further help with this? Get on a call with me.
Okay, how about where does email come into the whole thing? Because, I mean, I can see this kind of working, but then, you would need a really, really targeted content. I can imagine you need somewhat of a large audience, or at least a very active one, in order to be able to book calls straight from your content.
Yeah, this wouldn't be straight from the content. This is, again, what you're doing is you're basically, the content is telling them something. Let's say you put out a post saying, here's the 10 easiest ways to book clients. And then you tell them, look, you want to see how I work my favorite one. And let's put it this way, like you put up a landing page with a video explaining how you do that. You see, so it's still a lead magnet. You're just not taking email addresses, which I don't advise, because LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is not yours. The people there don't belong to you. Like, you can only contact them if LinkedIn allows you to. When I put out a
Yeah.
post, like, LinkedIn decides who's going to see that post. It's not me, and I have some control over it, obviously, but and tomorrow they close my account and that's it. I'm gone. So I can't really even put a post out and you see the post. And I don't know if you're going to see the post. But if I have these people in an email list, I can just click send. I send an email to everybody and they will receive this email. If they open it or not, it's in my hands, right? But they will receive that email. So I know they will get that piece of that communication. So if now I don't know, let's say I want to run an event. That's a good example, actually. You sent an email to your list today. So you're running this event and you send an email. Okay, I'm gonna do this. You want some help with inbound? Just join us there, and you might get that help. You are helping them. You are serving those people on your email list, and they are getting what they need. They are getting the answers they need. But so email is always advise that's building your email list is your first and foremost goal.
Okay, we're getting more specific now a little bit. So how do I phrase this so that it's one question? How do you advise that people build their email list, especially considering that organic reach is a little bit limited on LinkedIn right now? Are there any other ways? Because the way that I see this and the way that I've done it until now has been, post a really good piece of content, helpful, I would hope at least, and I would have a soft CT at the end saying something like join 250 plus business owners who get insights on how to make LinkedIn work for them, blah, 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 something like this. And I think at the most I've gotten like 4 or 5 subs a day from something like this. So how exactly do we circumvent that? Are there other ways to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am not a proponent of join my newsletter. You might have a newsletter. That's all good and well. I mean, it's fine. Have your newsletter, but don't advertise it as a newsletter, because what you have is just Dana's content in someone's email, in someone's inbox, and then they will have Fran's content in their inbox, and then they will have Kevin's content in their inbox. And what differentiates it is just us. So basically, what you're doing is you're using an ask, not a give. You're asking them, join my newsletter. What is in it for them? That's always the question. What's in it for them? They, nothing. A piece of content from me, So you have your own tool. Like if you tell them, all right, you want to find out, why LinkedIn is not working for you, go and check and use this tool, and I'll give you the answers. And the tool will give you the answers, and it does. So now you're not asking, you're giving. Here, I put my knowledge into this, go and use it. It's free. So it's in their hands, So it's always like benefit driven. It's always them. It's how we started this conversation as well. Like it's always with what they want. So it all starts with knowing your audience, right? So having that dream client avatar, because you know what matters to them, you know what solutions they're looking for, and you're offering that solution. That's the first step of the solution, is your lead magnet. In your case, the assessment tool that you have.
Okay, so basically you're saying that it's much better to just kind of like lead people into your email list by using a certain medium.
Yes, and not just using the lead magnet, but actually telling them what they have to gain from it, right? So, because when you're putting out content, you're talking to a specific type of person. So let's say that now you put out a piece of content talking about the algorithm. Everybody keeps complaining about the algorithm, but it's like, but there's nothing you can do about the algorithm. You just have to learn it and adapt to it. That's it. That's the post you just put out. You want to see how you can adapt to the algorithm? Go and use this tool. The next logical step, right? So what you're giving them is the next logical step, not join my newsletter, which is, again, it's an ask. Now you're giving them, you're giving them something. You're telling them, I have this for you. Use it, but you're not just going to say use this. You're going to tell them what they have to gain out of it. So that's always the CTA, is giving them the next logical step from the way they look at it. What is there for me to gain from it? What's in it for me? That's the question you should be asking at every step of the journey.
Yeah, I think this is the part that most people miss out on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you told me you get a maximum of was it 4 or 5 people in with your
yeah.
So recently, with one of the clients I'm working with, your recording stopped. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It should start over if everything's okay. Anyway,
anyway, go on. Yeah.
Back to this. So so you're starting with recently with a client. We had in one day we had 41 email subscriptions with a lead.
41.
41 with one post.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, because it's for them, like we're basically telling them, do you want this? This will help you. Go get it. And they do.
Yeah, but you knew that this is exactly what they want, right?
Yeah, that's where audience research comes in.
I do want to ask you a little bit more about audience research, because this is something you and I have talked about a lot. But I want to stay on the topic of the lead magnets a little bit more. So you said that it could be something really simple, but what is the one thing that a lead magnet absolutely has to be so that it actually works to build trust and not the opposite? Because honestly, a lot of people have caught on the whole idea about inbound systems and lead magnets. And like I've seen, and also, the whole, this format of posting something really catchy on LinkedIn and saying comment, whatever, and I'll send you the link. This has been very popular recently. And I feel like some people just do such a subpar job in that lead magnet. Like, for example, someone created this Notion system, which was just literally a database of their LinkedIn posts. And I was just like, come on. I mean, if you're going to give me a lead magnet, it has to be something that is otherwise not accessible to me. Because if I wanted to go through your entire LinkedIn content, I can easily do that. I don't need to give you my email for it. So what are the do's and the don'ts of lead magnets, especially the don'ts? Because you did say the do's already.
That's a great question, actually. And sometimes it can be that simple, like I remember now you gave a good example because you could go through their content and just find out. Yes, you could, but again, they're just saving you that work. So they are still doing something for you, right? Like I remember, I think it was Russell Brunson who spoke about this. He used to use like his podcast episodes as lead magnets, and he said it like, look, what I'm doing here basically is when he was teaching about it, he said like, yeah, people ask me all the time like, why are you just using a podcast episode? Like people can just find that out. They can, but I have 300 and something podcast episodes out there, and they don't know which one is the relevant one to this, like, so I'm putting this one out here and I'm telling them exactly how to find it. It's like, I remember what I did with Darren, like the post that I used as a lead magnet had been published like I think 3 times. He had repurposed it, and
Hmm.
it was very successful, but still in just a few days he got like 60 people subscribing to his email list to download it. And again, it's like the accessibility of it. Like when you put it behind the wall, behind the gate wall, like in this case, like get it here in exchange for your email address, it makes it more valuable. It's the same thing as charging for something. It's the perception of value. If you just put it out there on LinkedIn, the perception is, oh, this sucks. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I know.
it's just a LinkedIn post. I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to it. But now, if I have to pay for it, then I know that I will pay a lot more attention to it. And actually, that's another thing that Hormozy speaks a lot about in his books is when you pay for something, the the more you pay, the more value, specifically when it comes to information content, like to information products, services. It's the you take a lot more value, so you learn a lot more. It's different than if you pay 10 euros for a cheat sheet, or if you pay 1,000 euros for a course. You're going to try to absorb that all the information in that course, right? Like they made an interesting experiment with wine. Like they put 3 different wines with 3 different price tags, right? So one was very cheap, the other one was medium priced, and the other one was really expensive wine. And they told people to taste it and and say which one they liked the most. Obviously, the results was as expected. The most expensive wine was the one that everybody loved. They said this one is the best, no doubt. Then they removed
Yeah.
the thing that was covering the label, and they were all the same wine. So it's all perception. It's
Yeah.
incredible, but it changes a lot. So back to your question, you asked the do's and don'ts of a lead magnet. I was just still answering to sometimes simplicity has a lot to it. As long as you put yourself in their shoes and you see, all right, I am doing this for them to save them time, to save them whatever, then it's worth it. Again, now it comes to the relationship between the effort and what you're receiving, right? So you can't give a course valued in thousands of euros for free and just expect people to take that value out of it, because they won't. So that's a don't. Don't give a lot. You have to give little, just a quick win. They need to win. They need to get something out of it. But it has to be quick to consume, because there was an exchange there. They gave you their email address. They gave you their data.
Yeah.
That is still an exchange. Don't undervalue it, because even though people are not paying for it, they're still exchanging something. So they gave you their email address. Give them something quick, a victory. Make it valuable to them. They are on that journey of transformation. They expect to reach a destination. That destination, you need to give them a step towards that destination, but still quick to consume, actionable. Specifically, I really like it that it's actionable, the lead magnet, because, for example, ebooks were very on trend years ago, but we all have our laptops and our mobile devices full of ebooks that we never opened.
Yeah.
They're not actionable, so make it actionable as well. Quick to consume, and just a win, a quick win. Those 3 are the absolute must. We're still not getting your recording, but I think we should then let it. Maybe we'll fix it with getting the recording out of the LinkedIn, I suppose.
Yeah, I have no idea. I tried to find a way to fix it, but anyway, let's not interrupt the event for
Yeah.
this. But yeah, I mean, I get your idea about the lead magnet. It's maybe because I know these things and I know that the ultimate goal is that people get my email, that I get a little bit irritated when I don't actually get a quick win, because to me, link to a LinkedIn post, that's not a quick win, because it's the same like 2 minute video that you posted on LinkedIn anyway. You know, that's not a quick win. Like, show me at least a video that I haven't seen yet, and then I'd be like, okay, like that's exclusive. But showing the exact same stuff that you actually posted like a week ago or 2 months ago, that's not really worth giving my email for, you know.
But it's
And I
the way
think
you
people
package it.
starting, yeah, it is the way you package it for sure.
If you
But
just link them to LinkedIn is one thing, but you can grab the exact same post and package it in a different way and
yeah.
send it directly to your email, and the perception of the value that you're going to receive is much higher.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but the particular example I was talking about, this person literally just posted like embedded links to the actual LinkedIn post. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
okay, you could have uploaded that video to YouTube and you could have just given the link to YouTube. And this way, no one would have actually known that you're repurposing the recording of the video. You know what I mean?
I
I don't
agree.
know. It's just, I think people are getting very tired of being asked for their email, you know, for everything, literally, because they're starting to understand, okay, me constantly being asked for my email on pretty much everywhere I go, directly correlated to my inbox being a one hot mess and basically looking like Sodom and Gomorrah. And I feel like this reduces their attention to these emails. Would you agree with that?
Yes, all the more reason to make it worth their while.
Yeah,
So make
yeah,
sure that
that's a
what you're
that's a
giving
good
them
point.
is worth their while. So everything has a price tag, and the price tag there is the email address. So like, put yourself in their shoes, and the answer is always put yourself in their shoes, and think about, like, you're gonna be just another email in their inbox. Do you want to be just another email in their inbox, or you want to be that email that they can't wait to open? You know?
Yeah, yeah, this makes so much sense. Now, when I think about my own inbox, I'm just thinking about the people whose emails I never miss. And it's because it's just always worth it. And I've
Yeah.
also bought from them as well, and that's been worth it as well. So it's this long journey of building trust. But something that you said about these steps actually made me remember something really funny. I was actually talking to a friend yesterday, and he's in sales. And when I had my daughter and before she started eating solid foods, I was really worried that she may be a picky eater. And, I started reading all kinds of stuff on picky eating. And I found that, pediatric behavioral psychologists actually researched that. And it turns out that for a picky eater, they would need to have a minimum of 7 up to an average of 17 encounters with the food in question before they even decide they may give it a go. And I was telling him this, and he was telling me that it's exactly the same thing in sales. It's like, before someone buys from you, they need to have been exposed to something from you, from your company or brand, whatever, about like 17 times before they decide to make a purchase. And this makes so much sense, everything that you're saying, with just taking it one step further, like tiny, tiny steps and building more trust with each and every step. So this kind of brings me to the question, okay, let's say someone listens to this event and they decide to give this whole thing a go, and basically they do what you just described they have to do, and it doesn't work. What would you say are the most likely culprits here, and like what are the things that people get wrong about inbound systems most often?
All right. So what do you mean with they do everything but it doesn't work? What how would you how would you put, or what would you call not working?
Okay, so they decide on a lead magnet, they create that, they create some kind of an email sequence. So the whole thing, is meant to work like this very simple funnel. So like content, lead magnet, email, and then try to get them, let's say, on a call via email. And okay, let's say two scenarios where I don't see this working is either people not signing up for that lead magnet or people not booking a call, even if they're in email sequence. So these are the two most common scenarios that I can think of, but if you can think of another one, maybe you can add it to the answer.
No, that's good. Yeah, so because like for most of us, the purpose of it depends obviously for the business, right? If I've done inbound systems which the first purpose is to make a sale, and others where the first purpose is to book a call, right? Because it depends on what you're selling. Like if you're selling a $20 product, you don't need to get on a call to sell that.
Yeah.
But if your first service, if you're actually offering a service on the thousands of euros or dollars, then you need to get on a call. You're not going to try to sell it through an email. I'm a consultant and I offer my consulting services for 3,500 euros. Click here to buy. I mean, nobody's going to buy that, right? So
Yeah.
it depends on what you're going after. But the most likely culprit in without more data, and like you know better than anybody, you know that data is what drives the decision here, like, right? So like when a system is up, in order to reach any decision we need to read the data, and we know, like, we start with the landing page, how many people are actually subscribing, what's the percentage of people subscribing. When you know the benchmarks, you know what to expect, and you know, okay, this is not hitting the mark, there's a problem here, why is it not hitting the mark? And it's easy to go when you go from there, it's easy to find out what the culprit is. Right now, okay, this email is not getting enough opens. Yeah, the subject line sucks, let me rewrite that. This one is not getting the clicks, people are not clicking to book the call. Why not? Am I asking for it too soon? How am I offering it? Am I offering it as a sales call? Like, am I asking or am I giving? Because, for example, you've seen one of my first emails where I offer to get on a call with me. I don't offer to get on a sales call, obviously. I offer to get on a call where I can help people with if they still have problems with their inbound system. And that's what I do, actually. I get on a call with them and I try to help them. So the most likely culprit is you don't understand your audience as well as you think you do.
Yeah, it's always this one, isn't it? Like anytime we speak, like whatever we talk about, we always come down to this one thing. So you and I had this conversation a little bit the other day, but I'd really like to hear, the highlights from what we spoke about. Because what I told you the other day was everyone talks about knowing your ideal audience, and like this is the most valid thing that you can ever hear. No one actually tells you how do you research your ideal audience. Like, first of all, where do you find these people? And second of all, like, how do you actually get to the intel that they can give you? So, what's your take on this?
Right. Yeah, we did speak about that last week very lightly, but it's basically like I always go back to basics. I don't like tactics because they change all the time. So, right, I could tell you, like, go get into into the thought leaders comment section, but that's just what, like, because you're on LinkedIn and it's convenient, it makes sense right now. But what if LinkedIn all of a sudden decides to remove comments? Like, so
Yeah.
it's a stupid reason, but then the tactic stops working. So let's go back to basics. What is it that we're looking for? Everybody who has a certain type of interest congregates somewhere, right? So let's say, for example, I play paddle tennis. So every week, at least 2-3 times a week, I am in the tennis club, right? So this is where I see other people, where I meet other people who have the same interest as I do, right? Now, with the online world, things have become much easier and accessible. So there are forums where people actually join and meet each other with the same interests and discuss the topic at hand. One of my favorites is Reddit because it's so easy. It's like just the biggest forum in the world that you can have the sub-forums, what they call the subreddits, and you just you look for something around the interest you're looking for, and you go there and people are just talking about it. And one of the best things about Reddit is because it's anonymous. People just freely speak their mind. I mean, there's nobody's actually worried about what they're going to say there. They just speak their mind. So all the information you get from there is actually real information. I told you about
It's the opposite of LinkedIn.
I told you about an anecdote that happened to me like years ago. that I did so much research, and I just basically I live there, you know. I become that person, and I live in these spaces, and I read everything that these people are complaining about. So I was working with two very tough industries, one after the other, and I went into depression. I was 6 months that I couldn't work because I was absorbing these people's problems so much. So I'm not saying do this, but at least if you do a little bit of this, 1 week, 2 weeks of actually reading these people's complaints, and whether it's on Reddit, on Quora, people ask questions on Quora, answer the public. You'll find the most common questions asked on Google. You know, there's a lot of these tools that you can find online, but the specific tool doesn't matter. What matters is having the right mentality. What you want is to become one of these people. And
Yeah.
nowadays, what people use as a shortcut is just serve your older self. We spoke about this recently, right?
Yeah, we
Who you
did.
were. Yeah, that's very easy. That's very convenient because you already know what your problems were if you can think and remember about them. But it doesn't work for everybody, and it's not the right approach. I mean, you decided to serve a specific audience. Let's say you're selling shoes. You're not going to sell shoes to yourself, you know, like you actually need to understand this audience, what their problems are, what they're suffering with, what they're complaining about. And if you find those spaces online, it doesn't matter which they are. Right now, Reddit is one of the best. And that's why I say go to the comment section as well of the big thought leaders in your industry, because those people are telling you what they suffer with or what their problems are. Another one is, so I always start with finding the thought leaders. Why? Because those thought leaders, most of them have written books as well, and those books are
Yeah.
well researched. They know their audience. So you go onto Amazon, you can find in the Kindle store, you can find the chapters of those books. There's so many answers there about your audience.
Yeah, this is actually so interesting because I never thought of that. Because if you read something that, let's say, I don't know, a business coach wrote, like you definitely know they did their research, and just reading this, you can reverse engineer why they decided to write this exact thing. And you can reverse engineer the pain points as well. Like this is, by the way, this is probably the most insightful thing I've actually heard regarding audience research. Seriously.
I'm glad.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so yeah, any like anything we talk about, we always end up talking about know your audience, right?
Yeah, that's where it all starts. And that's what most people avoid, which is ironic.
Yeah, because it's hard, man. It's really hard.
It is. Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, and it's just very hard because, as you said, there is not one bulletproof strategy. You can't just see some kind of a guideline. You can't really do a guideline on that because this is going to be different for every different business, for every different industry. This is not a do step one, step two, step three. You actually have to be creative, and you kind of have to, think on your feet in order to be able to do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to actually care.
Yeah, and you also have to care as well. That's the other thing. Fran, have I missed asking you anything about inbound systems? Oh, I do have one. No, sorry, I do have one. My last one before we go into the audience's questions. And you actually kind of teased about this one in one of your posts. So, like this whole thing that you just described, this whole funnel, the inbound system, honestly, this sounds like a lot of work. So, if I were good in outreach, then I would come to you and I would say, okay, why do I need to do this if I can just reach people directly? Like, what exactly is the advantage of the inbound system over, let's say, warm outreach?
Yeah, as you said, I did mention that in a post recently, and it's
Yeah.
very simple. I mean, that's the amount of leads you get with the inbound system is that number of people that you need to outreach less. So it's like, so let's say if you start from zero, right now I have 0 leads or 0 clients. I need 5 clients this month. I'm gonna go nuts trying to get those 5 clients this month. But if I start with, all right, I already have 2 inbound leads, that's perfect. So I need 5. Then there's only 3 you need to outreach for. Like, so even if
Yeah.
you don't have the perfect inbound system, and I don't expect anybody to, like, how I don't do any outbound. I don't advise this to anybody. Obviously, outbound, but I prefer. I think it's much more efficient business wise. Time is our most precious resource, so it's much more efficient to start outbound after you've from a place where you've already got some inbound than starting from scratch, because I mean that's the amount of time and resources you're saving, right?
Yeah, that's something you said right here. So every time you reach out to someone new, you are starting from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to, of course, you're going to get better with time, and you're going to learn also how to maybe reach out to more suitable people in the first place. But you're always starting that conversation from scratch, which is not the case with inbound, and it's just working in the background.
Yeah, it takes a lot more research to get it set up, because all the information that with outbound, all right, I messed this conversation up. I'm just gonna start another one and see if I can do better, right? So you learn
Yeah,
from each conversation. With the inbound, you can't afford to do that. So you actually need to do the research before, so you can put everything in place that is actually already talking to their pain points and talking correctly to them. So it's much easier to start with outbound. And if you're just starting out from scratch, I do advise to start with outbound, because it's going to give you a lot of insights to then create your inbound system. So that's audience research as well, you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, this makes a lot of sense. Have I missed out on any important aspect? What do you think?
No, I don't think so, actually. I don't know what people actually. That's the hard part, right? For me, I don't know exactly what people struggle with in this sense. I know that one of the hardest parts for people is actually it's very scary to think about creating a lead magnet. But we already spoke about it, and it can be really easy to just get a lead magnet in place. Another thing is emailing. Like when you think about email marketing, everybody starts thinking, what do I email? So maybe that one I can touch on. Like, what do you email? Like, what do you write on LinkedIn? Why is it different? The only difference is that it's one-to-one. Now you're sending a specific message to someone. Like, so, yeah. And you're not competing for attention like you are on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, if you lose my attention for half a second, I'm going to scroll down and get the next post and read the next
Yeah,
post. On inside of your inbox, if I open that email already, you have a lot more of my focused attention. So it's easier. You can go more in depth into subjects. So yeah, it's the next logical step for communication. It's much easier to get someone to a place where they're ready to buy something from you or to work with you than on LinkedIn, because you're competing with everyone else there.
yeah, no, this makes so much sense. This is true, but like this basically means that LinkedIn is the hardest medium there is to capture that initial attention.
They have different purposes in the marketing funnel, right? So one of them has the purpose of reaching a cold audience, which is LinkedIn, right? So you're reaching more people, and then you move them to a warmer place, so to your inbox. So
Yeah,
so I see a lot of people actually posting on LinkedIn about the marketing funnel and how they use content, and you have to have content for all stages of the funnel. I disagree mostly, you know. I don't think you need to have the bottom of the funnel content on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is not a bottom of the funnel communication platform.
yeah,
So yeah, you should have top of the funnel, medium of the funnel, and yeah, hint at the bottom of the funnel. And for those who don't know what the stages of the funnel, it's just the awareness of the audience about their problems and the solution, right? So they have a problem, and they can be aware that there is a solution. They can be aware that you are the solution, or they can be completely unaware that there is a solution. And even sometimes that they don't even know they have that problem, right? So these are the different stages of awareness, and that's what we speak about in marketing when we talk about the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. It's the lower you are in the funnel is the more aware you are, and the last stage is you as the solution to that problem, right? So I think email is the perfect place for those last stages of the funnel.
yeah. I'm just thinking I would maybe disagree with you a little bit. I think it really just depends on how big and active your audience is as well. Because honestly, if you have, let's say, about the audience and it's a very active one, so you have great impressions and great engagement, I think that it does make sense to have a bottom of the funnel post on LinkedIn every now and then. I genuinely think this could work, but I don't know too many people who have 15K audiences with very, very active engagement and high impressions. Like
Again,
it's kind of either or.
nothing is set in stone, and every business is unique and different. So, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about generically, right? So most of the strategies will be adapted to each business, but even what you're saying, right? It's okay. You can have a bottom of the funnel piece of content, but it's about goals, right? Your goal, your marketing goal on LinkedIn should be to move them to the email to your email list. So that bottom of the funnel post, either it's talking to people who are already in your email list, and then why are you talking to them on LinkedIn and not an email?
yeah,
Or then you're missing the ultimate goal on LinkedIn, which should be to move them to the email list. Why? Because if you're doing that bottom of the funnel post on LinkedIn, now that person, yeah, he sees that post, but as you said it yourself, like we need at least 7 points of contact with someone to make a decision, right? So he sees she sees that post that you just published, bottom of the funnel, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. You raised that interest, but it wasn't enough. So they didn't take the action that you wanted them to take, and the action was
yeah,
to hire you, to DM you, or whatever. And then they might not see the next one. You know,
yeah, yeah. That's true.
the
That's,
on LinkedIn for me the goal is always to move them closer, and closer is email.
yeah, but where is the balance? Because remember that there was this period when LinkedIn was doing some changes in the platform, and a lot of people lost their follow link, and this resulted in basically like super low impressions. I was posting and I was getting something like 500, like 300, which is unusually low for me. And I got very frustrated, and I even had the idea of just every post that I had would be redirecting people to email and just not posting anything of value on LinkedIn, just hooks, hooks, hooks. But then the whole thing got sorted out, and I thought this was a little bit too extreme. So where is the balance of doing that? How much
I
value do
mean,
you give in on LinkedIn, and how much moving do you do onto the platform?
I mean, even if it's only 300 people seeing your post, it's 300 more than the ones you have on your email list, isn't it?
Well, yeah, definitely.
So if you move those people to your email list, it's adding up. So your email list is always growing. So on LinkedIn, your impressions might be going down, but your impressions on your email communications are always going up.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're not adding to the email list and you're just losing subscribers, that's different. Obviously, if your main goal out in creating content is to move people to the email list, then it's always growing.
Yeah, unless you're losing subscribers, as you said. But this brings me to another question that's related to that. Well, how do you escape the LinkedIn echo chamber effect? Because you know that right now, if you post something, it's usually shown to more or less the same people. It's the echo chamber thing because we engage with one another, right? And this is why the algorithm's going to show us more stuff from the same people. I've actually found that this slows down the email list growth because these people who my posts get shown to, they're already on the email list. So how do we get around that?
That's a fantastic question, and I think maybe you're even more qualified to answer it than me. But
I do have an
like,
idea, but it's very tedious.
uh, okay. It's basically we spoke about in the last event, like the Darren's system. And if you haven't seen that video, or if weren't with us last week, just check for the podcast episodes or ask us for it. We can send it to you, and you can see, like, I showed, as Dana was describing, I was showing exactly the steps that Darren takes to reach a new audience. So I would say, like, if you incorporate into your strategy something like this, you're always reaching fresh audience, right? It's funny because yesterday I was counting and my post, and I'm not commenting, so I'm not in the echo chamber per se, but when I comment, I only comment on the people who I already am connected and like their content, like you, for example.
Hmm.
I'm not really looking for new people at the moment to comment on. And still, I still got like the reactions to my post. I think it was yesterday's post or the previous one. It was half of them were from second degree connections. I was quite surprised,
Interesting.
you know. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think like if you incorporate a strategy like that, that you're looking for new people to engage with, I'm not even saying you don't even need to ask them for a connection. Eventually, that's the logical step. Again, the progression of the relationship, right? But just start commenting on those other people that outside of your circle of influence, current circle of influence, then you will be exposing your content to a new circle of influence as well. That's my
Yeah.
view of this. But I would love to hear your notes on that one as well, or your thoughts.
Yeah, so what I started doing when LinkedIn changed the algorithm so that it's actually more relevant, because they would think that the fact that you're interacting with the same people more or less means they're relevant to you. They want to show you more content of the same type, and this makes perfect sense actually. What I started doing was I would go to the main feed just shortly before I posted or after, and I would change the setting at the very top to go from show most relevant to show most recent, and I would find just interesting content that's on the main feed, like not just any content, of course, but interesting content. And I would engage with that content in this way because the people are still active, because they just posted, they're still active, they're still on the platform. They would see my comment and they would reply to me. And this means that automatically they've interacted back with me, which means that the next time their feed reloads, they're most likely going to see my post on top of the feed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is the closest and I would say most credible thing that I found in terms of tricking the algorithm. It's more like working with the algorithm, because they're also trying to promote new connections, but then there has to be an interaction with that connection so that it would work, because otherwise they're not going to start showing you random people, because this makes zero sense. You need to show that you're interested in something or someone in particular. So this is the thing that I would do. I actually have no idea why I stopped doing it. I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just it's more or less in the lines of what I said. It just get yourself out of that circle.
Yeah.
The more you expose
Um,
yourself, the more LinkedIn will expose you as well to others, and the other way around, and others to you.
yeah, absolutely. Alex Brankoff he's not here unfortunately because he can't do Fridays, but he had a really good question that he left in the comment section. Question was, what strategy would you recommend for someone going from zero to their first 5 clients?
That was a really good question. I did ask him to specify a bit the industry and stuff. Can you find that part as well and read it to me? I
Yep,
would appreciate it.
absolutely. So I'm just reading his reply.
Yeah, sure.
Financial wealth creation coaching, let's say crypto, for example. Creators and purpose-driven business owners who are looking to better manage, multiply their money. And the main offer is one-on-one coaching program that helps them turn 5 grand into 5,000 a month cash flow in 18 months. So that's very
Right.
specific.
Right. So if the main offer, and I like how specific it is, the offer, that's one of the most important things. But if the main offer is coaching, then the main goal for your inbound system will be, after you have their email address, to move them to a call, I would say, because that's the best way to sell coaching, is get on a call with a person, because coaching is a relationship with the person, a direct relationship. So what you want is to get that relationship going. So you want to get on a one-on-one call with that person to start building up that relationship that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be, otherwise you can't sell it otherwise. It wouldn't make sense to sell it in any other way. So yeah, the strategy would be, like, if you're selling financial services, and it could be crypto, but like it doesn't matter. And I do think he's referring to crypto, but like, I wouldn't even now you need to think about the level of awareness of, and specifically, very specifically in this industry, you need to think about the level of awareness that the audience you're targeting with has. So I would mention that that we're talking about crypto, because otherwise you're attracting an audience that is completely unaware of your solution, and it can be very cumbersome. It can be very problematic, because getting someone new onto crypto is like, you don't want to be in that space, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's like business, right? I've advised a lot of people to move away from the audience who's starting a business, because that's a very tough audience to deal with. Like, most of these people are not going to follow through. They're not going to keep their businesses going. So it's a very hard audience. Beginners are not easy. But so think about the level of awareness of your audience, and now offer something to them that will be of value. So if you're, again, we start with the giving, right? So you're putting out content and you're sending them what is the next best thing that you could sell. And this is how I would put it, that you could sell to them for a very cheap price that wouldn't take any of your time, but that would help them advance a little bit in their journey to financial independence. Let's put it this way, right? Because that's what they're looking for. What is this audience? Again, audience research. So always put yourself in the shoes of that person, right? If you're offering financial services, what are these people looking for? What's their ultimate goal? Financial independence, right?
Yeah.
So now, what is the first thing you can give them, according to your value and in your knowledge and your services? What is the first thing that you can give them that actually is free from your time, because you don't want to compromise your time here? You're going to give it away for free, that you could charge for, but you won't, and that it's quick to consume, and most importantly, which I didn't mention before, that the next step would, every time you solve a problem, a new problem comes up. So what is the little
That's
problem
a good
that you
one.
can solve right now that the next problem would be a coaching session with you? So
Oh God,
now
this
you
is like
package that
create a
as
problem, sell the solution, right?
well, you're not creating the problem. The problem will arise whether you want it or not. I mean, that's just how things are, like if so, let's put it this way. I have a problem with creating a podcast. And my first problem is knowing which equipment to buy, right? So
Yeah.
now you give me the solution, and you tell me, all right, you need this camera, this microphone, and now you're up in these set of lights and whatever. Now you're up and running. Now I'm running the podcast. You solved my problem. A new problem will come up. And what do I do? What do I say in my podcast? Who do I interview? There are always sequential problems, subsequent problems that come up. And so then if you solve a little problem, a very small little problem as a lead magnet, you give it away for free. But the next logical step is what you want to package as your main offer, right? So let's say financial services. He could give away like a list of I don't know. It depends on what we're talking about, obviously. But if he's talking about crypto, the most secure wallets that you could use, and why, which wallets, or and what's the next logical step? Actually buying the wallet, and then what's the next logical step? Actually knowing what to buy, so then you can coach them on that. So
Yeah.
it's always that progression. If you think about, all right, I've solved this problem, so now what are they struggling with? Obviously here we're starting from the main offer, so we have to reverse engineer. We have the main offer. What little problem could I solve before this one?
That's such a good way to think about it. It just makes so much sense. I have the ideal lead magnet for you right now. Because
Yeah,
this is
shoot
something
it.
your ideal lead magnet, and you can decide where you want to take it as a lead magnet or just help people out. And I think this is also very relevant to the entire conversation is what are the go-to email?
Oh yeah, that's a question I do get a lot. It's very personal, and that's one of the reasons I never did it. I used as a lead magnet, for example, a templates for the welcome sequence in the
Hmm.
past, and that one worked amazingly. I still have it up, but it's on a different. It's on. It's I'm not. I don't use it on LinkedIn. Anyway, the email providers like you can use a lot. Like for content creators, I know that ConvertKit works wonders. It's been created, so I was already in the email marketing space when they started, and it was created by a content creator, and it was completely dedicated to content creators. So it's not my email marketing platform of choice, but it's one I would recommend to people who are just creating content and want to to have a newsletter out there and just serve their audience further with email. It's a great platform, and I think it works great. My email platform of choice is GetResponse. I've used I don't know, I think close to 10 of them. and
That's solid.
I always come back to GetResponse because they have everything I need, and yeah, that's what I want. For me, it's like flexibility. I need to be able to deal with my list. There's a lot of strategy behind as well, segmentation and all this, and GetResponse has everything I need.
Okay, which one is the worst platform?
Oh, the biggest one, MailChimp.
The,
I hate.
the worst one. Yeah, I hate
Yeah,
MailChimp
yeah.
as well. This was the first one I tried out. It was so horrible.
It's the first one I tried out, and it's the one I don't recommend to anybody.
Yeah, but it's the one with the biggest marketing budget, I feel like, because anytime you start to Google anything about email marketing, email sequences like MailChimp is like right on top of Google,
They're one
you
of the
know?
oldest, and I think that's why.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
for a
get
long
that, but it's
time,
just so
yeah,
so
and
user
for the long
unfriendly.
time they were the only ones offering a freemium, the free version.
Yeah. Okay, this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. Um, unless I think I'm going to check for any new comments that popped out.
Yeah,
But if there aren't
Zane
any,
asked a question on the event live. I don't know if he's still here with us.
yeah. So he asked, what is the most effective way to attract more attention from the readers? This was his question. Because he posted a few others as well, but they weren't really related to inbound systems or anything. And more like
So, what is
outreach
the
and
most effective way to attract more attention of the readers is to talk about the problems. It's like it's
simple as
to
that.
actually it's entering the conversation already happening in their mind. This is something that is talked a lot about in content, and let me give props to Christopher Bowles, who actually commented this on my post recently and reminded me of this. If you can enter the conversation on and already happening on someone's mind, then you're in. We all
Yeah.
have something happening inside, right now I'm thinking, oh, I still have a few emails to write for that client. How am I going to do this? Like if you can get inside of that conversation and here's the easiest way to get a few emails. All right, that's not right for me, but anyway, are you struggling with get that client work done? Then yes, then you're talking to me, and I'm gonna pay attention. I can assure you. So enter that conversation already happening in their mind. We all have that conversations, and again, it goes back to what we already know, right? Audience research, knowing them
Yeah.
as so well that you can enter that conversation. But yeah, that's the most effective way to attract attention is when you know what they want, you can talk to them about it, right? So on LinkedIn, everybody wants impressions and leads and clients. So I've tried talking about a lot of things on LinkedIn, but nobody cares about it, So if I start a post with here's the 10 ways to attract more leads, I know it's gonna get attention.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
It's important to know
It's
as well where you are,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, there was something that I wanted to ask just based on top of what you just said. Um, yeah,
Entering
this
the
this thing that's
conversation.
that it's important to know.
Yeah, it's not
How
just
would
the
you?
person, is where you are, like their state of mind where they are right now. So your state of mind when you're scrolling through LinkedIn is completely different than when you're opening an email, right? Or when you're Googling for something, or when you're watching TV. So that state of mind is really important as well. And it's very relevant to what you can put in front of them. And I think that's one of the things that most people ignore in marketing, is that thought process. As I get a lot that's too much text. People don't like too much text. Like this, where are you getting that from? From LinkedIn? Yeah, because on LinkedIn, again, you're competing for attention with a bunch of other people, and the state of mind when someone's scrolling on a social media platform is just yeah, I want to read 3 sentences. That's it. Don't disturb
Yeah,
me more. I'm in a mindless state of being right now. And I mean, I'm not criticizing anybody. I do the same. When I'm on LinkedIn, that's what I want. But if I'm on YouTube, I want to watch a video, and I'm predisposed to watch a 10-minute video,
yeah,
this is really important. So for example, when I publish videos on LinkedIn, I go from 1 minute to 3 minutes and never more, you know. And on LinkedIn, on YouTube, I publish videos of 10 minutes and 20 minutes, and like this one is going on YouTube. And it's 1 hour something. So this predisposition is really important. Nobody I know, like for example, LinkedIn is going to publish this on my profile, right? Because we did the live, so it's going to be the whole thing is going to be published on my profile. Nobody's going to watch it, and I know, and I'm aware of it. Nobody's going to watch the recording on LinkedIn, you know.
yeah. But it's expected.
That's
It
what
is
I'm saying.
expected.
If you expect this, if you understand the behavior where you are, then you can also engage with them better.
Yeah, yeah. This feels like a very very good closing thought. And as we are actually ahead of time already, I want to start wrapping this up and basically summarize this entire event that whatever you want to do, you have to know your audience.
Yeah.
As it keeps coming up and up and up, it's like this endless loop in time. Like time is a spiral, and at the center of the spiral, you have to know your audience. Otherwise, pretty much all your other efforts are just futile.
Exactly, especially when you're talking about inbound. And like what I'm doing on LinkedIn, it stems from a few marketing knowledge, like sections of marketing that I am really interested in. So basically, what I'm doing, I love content creation, right? And the reason I'm so focused on these inbound systems, nobody does this when it comes to content creation. But you know this, I'm a huge study scholar of direct response marketing. Those guys were absolute genius. That's through paid advertising, right? There's a lot of ways
Yeah,
to do direct response, and nowadays it's done online. But in the old times, it all started, and nothing has changed. Nothing has been reinvented. It's still the same marketing that was done through mail advertising. Actually, post letters. People would send letters to your house, what you call spam. Other people made millions out of it. And so that direct response is, if you're investing money into getting that piece of content, because it is content, in front of people, then you expect a response, and that response needs to have a positive ROI, right? It
yeah,
needs to return more than what you invested. So if you're mailing those letters to someone, or if you're paying to distribute that through advertising, you expect a response. And I did paid advertising for a while, so I am very focused on that type of optimization. I know that if I put a funnel out there and I'm paying for an ad to drive people to this funnel needs to have a specific set of numbers that will return a positive return on investment, right? So a positive ROI. So what I'm trying to do is translate this into the organic content creation space, where you invest no money, you invest time, right? But you can get the same return as people get in advertising. So in advertising, we are very picky, and we go to the latest percentage of open rates, of click rates. That's like we're looking for this perfect optimization. And I try to bring that world into the organic content space, you know, because
Yeah.
I think it's still very far behind.
Yeah, it seems this way. Yeah, I mean, I've never done advertising, but I know what kind of metrics people track, and like they're like thousands of metrics, and everything gets followed and optimized until oblivion. And yeah, but you know what's common between them both is that you can have a huge budget and you can start blasting out ad copy like crazy. But again, if you don't know what the audience wants to hear and what's going to drive them to take the next step, it's basically throwing out money.
Exactly. And that's why most people say that I do best with outreach, and that's how I built my business. And outreach has worked great for me. Yes, because if you fail, you just do more of it. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't need that audience research. So basically, you're doing audience research as you're doing the outreach itself, and you might book a few clients there. So yeah, I mean, it's a great way to start, but it's not sustainable. I mean, unless you actually end up building a team to do outreach for you.
Yeah, but I think most people actually eventually go this way. They learn a lot through doing outreach themselves, and finally they just hire SDRs, they just hire a sales team if they manage to scale their business properly,
Yeah.
which apparently is dependent on lots of other things. But honestly, I don't think that we have to be polarizing here, as in let's do outreach or let's just do inbound. I think that if
Absolutely
you
not. Yeah.
have I think if you're serious about building your business and you're just starting out, I believe like you have to do both. And then,
Yeah.
as you said, start out with outreach, learn the most you can about the audience from these conversations, and like take emotion completely out of it. So don't get discouraged when people don't want to answer your message or they don't want to book a call with you, and just try to look at these as data points and just think, okay, so what could be the possible reasons why I'm not getting any reply to this message? A, B, C, D, and E, and then try to optimize. And once you arrive at the point where people reply to your message, they book meetings, you know that you've got your messaging right, and then based on that information, you can start building out the funnel, right?
Absolutely. It's all about knowing your business goals. I mean, if you need clients right now, then that's the right way to go about it. Don't waste time doing audience research. Just do it live and book clients from there, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And
and learn on the go.
yeah, the best marketing strategy is always adapted to your business goals at the moment, right? And most of the times it will include both outbound and inbound.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved your balanced approach because, you know, most people, they're just huge fans of no idea only outreach, and inbound is very unpredictable. I think this is the biggest like objection that I've heard against inbound. I even had people tell me thought that I had a business, but now when my inbound has dried up, I realized that I was just playing the lottery, you know, sort of thing.
Because there's so
And
much about inbound they don't understand,
yeah, yeah.
and again they're missing out on that audience research part. And it's the funny thing is that those people already have the data they need because they've worked with people for a long time and their clients have told them everything. They just didn't pay attention and they're not using that as entry points for the inbound systems.
Yeah, this is very likely, but yeah, I feel like it's always a matter of some kind of narrative that we're one or the other being sold. You know, I mean, the copywriters they want to sell us the idea that content can fill up your inbox with leads, and then I don't know, email marketers want to sell us the idea that it's all about email marketing and like leave the rest aside, and then I don't know, outreach people want to sell us the idea that inbound is pointless.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
The thing is that nobody actually is looking at inbound. It's how you started this conversation, and it was really good. Nobody's looking at inbound as the complete thing. They're just looking at content, because that's what
yeah,
was working on LinkedIn. They would just put out content and say DM me, and people would DM them. That's gone. That's those days are gone. So forget about it. But again, like for example, and you know what I'm talking about. But this client I'm working with right now. He had like really good content. He has another marketer working on his content, and the content is good and it's performing, but it's not bringing people closer. I mean, it's not getting clients, and we didn't change anything. We just built an inbound system and like and and I told you like the best day was 41 with one post, 41
Yeah,
subscribers to the email list, and like
that's amazing.
and those people are just they're just warm leads. They self-qualify themselves. If they downloaded that resource, they told us they're interested in that solution, right? So now the next logical step is to sell them the program or whatever is coming next, right? And all we did was tell them in the same type of content that was already being put out there. All we did was, all right, you read this post, now go check this out. You know, like obviously these are not
Yeah.
the words, but here's the next problem you have, here's the next solution I have for you.
Yeah, you just told them what the next step is, and I feel like a lot of people are missing out on this part. But we've been talking a lot about just inbound this, inbound that during that conversation, and I just remembered that the name of the event was self-qualifying leads. If I have to be very objective, the main thing that is very enticing to me when it comes to inbound systems is exactly that, because with outreach, very often when you reach out to someone, you actually don't know whether they even have the problem that you're solving. Because when you're just looking for LinkedIn profiles in Sales Navigator or something, you have some basic raw data, maybe their company, how much revenue their company's making. And just based on the revenue, some people would make the wild assumption, okay, they're probably looking to scale. And then you reach out to that person and they tell you, oh, no, it's like, no, 2 million a year is fine for me. I don't want to do more than that. I'm actually quite happy where I am. And guess what? You've just wasted at least 20 minutes finding that person, adding them to your CRM, reaching out, waiting for them to accept your connection request, and then only to realize that they absolutely don't need you. And that's exactly the kind of problem that you don't have when you are using an inbound system, because they go through this without you. You skip that step, and this is great.
And that's really important. And actually, you sent me a video recently from Christo and Daniel Priestley, and Daniel says something there that, like, he says, and that's the ultimate rule of sales. You can't sell someone something they don't want.
Yeah.
You can't. So if they don't want, they're gone. So the first thing is to actually realize they want it. And once you put out a lead magnet out there, that lead magnet is set up to help them and to qualify them. So they're telling you what they want by downloading that lead magnet. You just have to look at it and position it correctly. So if you put it out there, like I have a LinkedIn attraction scoring tool. If you go and you use my scoring tool, I know that you're interested in attracting more people on LinkedIn, attracting as opposed to chasing them, right? So you're telling me that you want my solution by going and using my lead magnet.
Yeah, you don't need to go in and start asking people, hey, are you interested in attracting more clients? And sounding like a snake oil salesman at the same time.
So that's, no, you can actually tell them, hey, I know you're interested in attracting more clients, which is different. Now you're entering the conversation happening in their mind because they told you what that was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the concept of self-qualifying leads.
Yeah, you're bypassing actually the toughest and the most time-consuming steps. Because once someone is qualified and they're qualified, yes, there are definitely some hurdles. There is timing, there is whether they actually like the offer. There are like so many things that play. But I feel like the most tricky one is that whether they're actually good for your offer.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can help them, I mean, that's the most important thing ever. I mean, I've had calls with people where I told them, look, I can't help you right now. I'm not the right person to help you. Actually, one of them I sent to you. You remember? I said, like,
I remember, yeah.
Here's the person who can help you. It's Dana, and not me. I mean, if you work with me right now, you're not going to take the most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course, there has to be a match between the offer and the actual person. Because there could be the other bias as well, that they actually already build trust with you and you're in their awareness like circle in their mind, so they come to you, but actually can't help them with that. They just know you. Yeah,
Exactly. So that's the power of inbound systems. It's basically, if you do it correctly, if you set it up correctly with the right audience research and all of that, then people are telling you what they want, and they're actually you just have to listen to them and and you can position your offer afterwards
Yeah,
as the solution to their problem.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Fran, I think we have to wrap up because I'm
Yeah.
seeing also the audience trickling away slowly as we're already over half past.
Yeah.
But this has been a true delight, and thank you for allowing me to take your seat today.
Of
It
course,
was
it's been a
awesome.
pleasure. I really enjoyed it. I just wanna, I don't know if you wanna mention it yourself or should I? I'm gonna
You
share the
go.
link to the event, to the community.
You take back your host role.
Okay, so we have a community with a few experts in there in different aspects. Like Dana's there, I'm there. There's Darren as a profile specialist. We have Kevin. We have a few people there, and if you want to join us there, it's free. You can ask us anything at any moment, and yeah, we're there for you within our availability. There's plenty of sections there that you can ask whatever questions you have. You can ask for help, and we'll be there to assist you. It's still growing, and it's exclusive to people attending these events live. We don't invite anybody else there, so I'm just going to post the link in the comment section. So you can just use that link to join us. I don't know if the link will be clickable. Otherwise, I'll just put it in the comment section of the event post, and you'll be able to do that. Regardless, this link expires in 1 hour, so it's only active for people who joined our live. That's it.
Well, it's a really good community, and there are different channels where you can ask different stuff, and there's always someone online to answer very specific marketing related topics. So highly recommend.
Yeah, we're still starting it, but it's growing slowly, and it will be a great space to share and to learn from what we're doing here with the content creation and LinkedIn and other spaces as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, everyone, have an amazing day. Fran, thank you so much for taking the time to go into so much depth about inbound systems. It was a delight.
Dana, thank you so much for actually doing this role and and asking me the questions. It was a pleasure sharing, and thanks everyone who joined. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and you too, Dana. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy to have you.
Okay, ended the stream.